Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
Really? She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
no.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And on this April Fool's Day, we are not playing around. It just happens to be April Fool's, but this is not something we exactly planned. So we're not tricking anybody. We're not going to like peace out of the live stream. This is a real live stream that we are doing tonight. So happy April Fool's Day, everybody. But for this episode of Supergirl Radio, we're actually going to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 premiere episode titled Rebirth. And we don't have any news. So, Morgan, should we just hop into it? I feel like we've got a lot to cover.
We should get into it because I'm excited to see. What did we name the official description writer?
I think Veronica.
I want to see what Veronica has in store for us this season.
This is a fresh new episode description from Veronica. So let's just dive into it. Let's just get into it. So here is the official description for Rebirth. Quote, as Brainiac, which technically should be Brainiac 5, but that's a technicality.
Listen, Veronica's had like a long hiatus, okay?
She's trying to jump back into it.
It's been a rough quarantine for old V.
As Brainiac lays close to death after trying to stop Lex, Supergirl and team soar in to save him, engaging in an epic battle with, I'm just going to say, Gamine. This is a whole Mirren Marin situation for me all over again. After beating Leviathan, Supergirl turns her attention to Lex, who has used the Obsidian platform to brainwash half the world to love him and follow him at all costs, no matter what horrible things he does. Knowing how dangerous this makes her brother, Lena enlists the entire team, Alex, Jean, Dreamer, Kelly, and Brainiac, to help, but Supergirl realizes that the only way to truly stop Lex is to sacrifice herself, unquote. Man, Veronica.
I have a question.
Coming through. That was nice. Yes.
Veronica did a great job. I feel like you dusted off those cobwebs. Now, I'm hoping in the next episode or two, we get something in the description that doesn't happen in the episode. Just like throw us one bone for old time's sake.
Or like just one sentence. Like just do a sentence description.
So my question is, really, Lena got Kelly involved? What did Kelly do? Did I miss that part?
Kelly went to Obsidian and she downloaded some kind of server
That's
something
right.
or other onto
Okay.
She downloaded it onto a hard drive, which looks like the drives that I use to edit with, where the portable hard drives. Really? That's what you put on? It seems like that would be something that would not be trustworthy, but that I don't know. Maybe you can put that on a hard drive. I don't know.
Kelly kept putting in IT tickets to get something more secure, but she never got it.
You would think you'd put them on like at least an encrypted hard drive. But yeah, that's what Kelly did. Kelly, she got the information from Obsidian so that they could, I guess, use it to unbrainwash people from the I Love Lexi project.
I feel like there was so much happening in that scene where they're like, okay, here's the plan. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And I was like, what?
So Morgan, for you, and I know like for me, when I first watched it, I've now watched it 3 times. I have a little bit of a better understanding of it, but it felt like they were throwing a lot at us.
Yeah, so I have to say I had every intention of watching it again, not because I like watched it and was like, oh my God, I need to experience that premiere again, but because I got done with the premiere and went, what happened? I don't understand anything. So I had every intention of going back in like the next day or so and watching it. Now, like most of my intentions didn't pan out for me. So I'm coming in with just one viewing. So let's see how much I understand. I'm guessing very little.
I probably won't understand much more than you did. So we shall see. Can you hear me okay? My headphones are being wonky tonight.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I might have to finesse them a little bit, but it's okay if I can't hear myself. Who needs to hear me? Yeah, so there was a lot going on. So what were you most confused about?
Oh boy.
Yes, we could start there.
What was I most confused about? I just felt like the whole episode was it was just cut. I felt like it was so abrupt. Everything was happening so quickly that like my brain would start to recognize information and go like, okay, I think where are we now? Like I just didn't have a minute to like absorb anything. And they were like the pace at which they were shooting exposition at each other was like everybody was like on uppers and really mad at each other. It was just like, oh, you do that. Like I totally I forgot because so much was happening that like Kelly was sent into Obsidian for a reason. I just thought she was there to give Andrea kind of a weird pep talk, like, hey, sorry, you're a strong, independent woman. It's like, didn't she just like launch a product that almost killed everybody? Yeah, I don't know that it's her ego that needs the up right now, Kelly.
Was I supposed to feel sorry for Andrea in that scene?
I did not. I did not at all. I like no part of me felt bad for her. They set her up all last season as a villain. Like, I guess, I don't know, like we saw her backstory and like I understand her as a character, I think a little bit. And like, she's not all bad, right? But like right after they launched a VR platform that almost killed everybody, wasn't like the time for her to cry and be like, oh, my company, like you almost killed everybody. It doesn't seem like you care a lot about that. She's like, I don't, my dad's mad at me. Like, I don't, okay.
She says, my father blames me for everything. Leviathan hijacking our technology, destroying our company. He said I destroyed his legacy. And I was like, but you did though. But you did all of that.
But all that stuff totally happened. And then I started like falling down like a rabbit hole of like, wait, did I forget something in season 5 where Andrea was like a better person than, because like Kelly's given her a pep talk about how she needs to like persevere and she's like a strong, independent businesswoman who doesn't need her father's approval. But like, is Kelly talking her into more evil? I can't tell. Like, you don't give up after the first scheme goes awry, Andrea. You keep going. I was like, Kelly, should you be encouraging that?
I thought that was really strange. One of the things that I came away from the premiere with was just how uninterested I am in Andrea Rojas. I love Julie Gonzalo. I think she's a great actress. I don't care about her storyline at all. I don't care about her character.
I was shocked when, like, towards the end of the episode, she's like, okay, back at Catco, we're gonna do real journalism now, guys, real journalism. And I was like, wait, you're still on this show? Is what's happening? We haven't, because I feel like at the end of season 5, she kind of had like a whole journey, and she went through a whole thing, and Lena talked her down, and Lena like learned an important lesson about herself, and then she passed it on. She's like, hey, as a sort of a morally great character myself, I understand that sometimes you're going to want to like mind control the world. It happens to us gals, but you can't give in. And like, I felt like that was sort of the end of her story. I didn't feel like I needed more Andrea Rojas, which is, again, I like Julie Gonzalez a lot, like Veronica Mars, Dallas, of course. But I didn't feel like we needed more Andrea. And so to find out she's like sticking around, I was like, cool.
Does Catco not have like a, I don't know, like a board?
What is Catco?
do they have a board of regents or something that, you know, chairman's above her that would like kick her out of? I would kick her out of the company. I'd be like, and you're fired. Bye-bye.
Shouldn't she be terrible for their public relations? Like, shouldn't she have to be stepping down? I think the board is like Andrea Rojas and a bunch of like cute succulents and maybe a slice of avocado toast based on her office. Like, I don't think that there's anybody else on the board.
I don't understand how she still has a job, but that's just me. And she also said something like, it was cracking me up. She says something like, we have a newspaper to put out. And I was like, a newspaper?
What? Yeah, I thought the same thing. She's like, okay, now we're focusing on hard-hitting journalism. I was like, could we just slow it down and we talk about the business of Catco? Like, what's your business? What's your plan? Like, how do you monetize? Like, let's just talk about the structure. Like, what's the hierarchy? Who do you report to anybody? Does anybody report to anybody? Does anybody have to show up for work?
Catco was a magazine. Like,
it was a magazine. And then briefly it seemed like it was a TV, like they had a TV. Yeah. It was a worldwide media, which I think that they made to be so vague that it could be anything. But I would like at some point to know, like, what's in the Catco portfolio?
So is Catco like putting out the Catco Times?
The Catco Times Picayune.
I mean, what are they putting out? I don't understand what it is now.
I don't understand anything.
Rogue Artist mentions the Cat Grant, mentioned the board before. And I think there was an episode in season 1 with, what's his name? Dirk Armstrong, the guy who was like trying to set up Cat in the Hostile Takeover episode way back in season 1. Yeah. I think maybe there were some board members in that episode. So I don't know. If I was one of them, I would kick Andrea Rojas to the curb. That's not even a question. Oh, it's very strange. The whole Catco thing was weird to me.
Although I will say, the funniest thing to me was at the end of the episode when Nia was like, they asked where Kara was, and I wanted Nia to be like, what do you mean she doesn't show up here? Like, what do you mean good journalism? We don't come into work. We're really busy with stuff. But like, it's like it has to be the easiest thing in the world to cover for Kara because she never shows up anyway. So how is it different? Like, she's trapped in the Phantom Zone, but is that different than any day of the week when she just doesn't show up to work?
I didn't think it was all that necessary, but Nia does give her a cover. I guess you have to cover it with William because otherwise I guess William would ask about her. Well,
William was really upset. Like, why would Kara go on assignment without telling me? I was like, dude, she went on one date with you. You might want to slow down. Like, you've had a combined 5 conversations with this person. I don't think she needs to report into you when she's on fake assignment like she is every other day.
She's basically just like your coworker that you played pool with. I don't know that
exactly. It was like one date. He was like, "Excuse me," as Kara's boyfriend. They was like, "Slow down. It's too much. It's too." What if she comes back from the Phantom Zone and William has like created like a whole relationship for that? Like, she comes back to her apartment and he's just living there, and he's like, "Oh, hello, dear." He just moved in while she was gone.
That would be a little creepy. I think Kara would probably think she was back in the Phantom Zone if that was the case. Yeah, and I know we're talking a lot about William right up front, but
which I mean, the show would never talk about William this much or remember that he exists this much. So respect that at least.
But Andrea also is like, you might win a Pulitzer, and I was like, what? Why is he winning a Pulitzer now? How does everyone at Catco want to win a Pulitzer?
But Lois Lane apparently in like Superman and Lois hasn't gotten one yet. Don't worry.
She's just been like nominated or something, but she's never actually won it.
And I think that she probably shows up for work most of the time, so I'd be mad.
Yes. So it's very strange. The things that the Catco stuff was probably, there was a lot going on, but I thought the Catco stuff was the weirdest part of the episode for me.
It was also another, I got annoyed because it was another instance of like there being a journalism story. And who gets it? Is it our main character? No. Is it like our supporting cast member who's been with us a couple seasons, who's established as a reporter? No. It's this guy Carr's been on one date with. It's like I can't wait to see what William does next in his journalism career. That's why I tune into Supergirl. Like he's just sucking up all the journalism storylines from all the other characters.
It's taking and there are three of them. There are three journalism characters. Stu reminds us that Kara only got her Pulitzer from a combination of superpowers as Supergirl and being friends with Lena. So that's basically how it wasn't really the investigative journalism. It was all the inside scoop that she had.
Somebody did make a good comment. So Miss Fiction Fanatic here has a good defense of William, which is that he might be a little hurt that he was shot. And in his mind, he's not had a word from Kara since he only saw Supergirl. So that's
a fair point.
Sense. That's a fair point. Like if I had a friend who was shot and then just kind of didn't check in for a while, I might be a little cranky too.
And speaking of Catco employees, Nicole mentions Franklin and Mackenzie. I was surprised to see Mackenzie show back up. She's such a minor character, but I was like, hey, it's the chick from some of those other episodes.
Hey, it's our girl Mackenzie. Mackenzie always pitches like stories that she's thought through and she's had some research for, and I respect that.
Mackenzie shows up to work.
Mackenzie shows up every day and she's really thinking ahead. She's got some fashion stories to pitch.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I know we talked a lot about Catco. I didn't anticipate us talking a lot about Catco. But...
I was like, let's get the least important stuff covered right at the top. That's where the people want it.
Yeah. So there was a lot of other stuff that happened way before the Catco stuff. I guess we could talk about the Lex plot, the big plot to stop Lex Luthor. What did you think about all that?
So my first question is twofold. What was Leviathan? And are we ever going to know who the leader of Leviathan is, or is that just done?
The answer to your first question is, who cares? The second question is, I don't think so.
I think that Leviathan was the friends we made along the way.
I thought it was cool that we got to see the exterior of like the lair. Like it pulled out and did an aerial view of like the Leviathan lair that looked like it was in the core of the earth. I thought that was cool, but the way they stopped Gamemne or Gamine, however you want to pronounce her name, Mirren, however you want to pronounce it, I thought was really too easy. Because she and there was the cheesiest dialogue was in this episode. Oh, it was so bad. Gamemne says, "You cannot kill technology, but technology can kill you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, stop. Just stop." First of all, I don't know what you're talking
about, Rebecca, because I'm getting a shirt custom printed up that says that.
Oh,
maybe with just like the little Twitter icon. Technology can certainly kill your spirit, though, can it?
Well, that's true.
Wasn't wrong about that.
That's true. But we've had this conversation before. You can unplug technology. You can beat it with a bat. You can kill it.
Wouldn't it have been great if she was like her final play was just to show them like a bunch of cat videos, like look upon me in despair, and it's just like the internet's like a bunch of cute animal videos.
I just thought the way they beat her was too easy, and they beat her with the anti-life equation. Now, as far as I can remember, the only other time they mentioned, and if anybody in the live chat can remember other specifics, but I think they mentioned the anti-life equation in the bottle episode in season 5. So I think that was like episode 10. So that was like the previous time they mentioned the anti-life equation, and I don't think they mentioned it ever again. And then all of a sudden it shows. I was kind of shocked. I was like, the anti-life equation? What?
I was surprised too, because I just watched the HBO Max Justice League, and it's kind of a big deal in that movie.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Zack Snyder's
right.
Justice League exclusive to HBO Max. We love the Max.
We love
here.
HBO Max.
We love the Max. But it's like a 90s place that you go to hang out, like in Saved by the Bell.
That's where they went on Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. The Max.
They went to the Max.
They did, and that's where we go to socialize anymore. The Max. But like, so it was mentioned so much in like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it was like a big part of the plot. And so, and like, I've heard of the anti-life equation before. I always laugh because it sounds a little cheesy to me. But so when they suddenly said it, like out of nowhere, I was like, wait, did we have context for that? And then it felt like a nothing. It was just like dismissed really fast.
Yeah, the anti-life equation is a pretty big deal. It removes free will from people. And I can see why they would weave it into the whole VR brain, mind control storyline. But it was such a non-entity until they needed it to defeat the enemy. And I didn't like that at all. I thought it seemed to come out of nowhere, and it wasn't fully explained. It should have been a bigger deal pulling in the anti-life equation. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I was like, it feels like the anti-life equation, and especially it's like a big thing from DC Comics, right? Like I expected it to be more than a throwaway line. But I guess que sera? I don't know. They were like, let's just throw the anti-life equation in there for color. And they just jazz it up with the anti-life equation.
And that's how Supergirl defeated Leviathan, was throwing the anti-life equation at them, which I guess is a kind of a cool way to use it. It's used for a positive good instead of a negative, like how Darkseid would probably use it.
She hot potatoed it over to them, and that was it. It did it.
Okay, I have a question about Leviathan's lair. So we got the premise in season 5 that like Lex Luthor went into that room and he was like, yo. And so it affected him. So I assumed it was because like he was a human or whatever. But then we saw other characters go in. Dreamer was affected by it. Alex was affected by it. But then Supergirl, Martian Manhunter, and Magan didn't have any problems. Huh. So what was
maybe
why did it affect some characters and not others?
Maybe it has something to do, and I'm doing a lot of their work for them, but maybe it has something to do with like them being aliens, because Nia's half alien, but she's
Dreamer's half alien.
Yeah, I mean, what Dreamer can and cannot do, I'm gonna bring that up later because I laughed a lot in this episode.
We will get to that, and Brainiac 5. Brainy is an alien as well. He's a Coluan.
Yeah. Then okay. So
I didn't understand that.
My theory is not anything then, because I don't. So then I don't. Yeah, I noticed that as well. It's like, well, some people are like immediately like, oh, the radiation, and other people are like,
Maybe, I guess if you're immune to radiation, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, but I was checking to see in the chat if anybody had any ideas about why that might be the case. Elektra does say that Brainy was in the room a lot longer than everybody else, soaking up the radiation more than, say, Kara, Jean, and Megan did.
I mean, that's true, but why didn't... Because it would affect you immediately. Like, you would step into that room and it would make you freak out. So I think you would know immediately if it was trouble for you.
that was a really weird one where I was like, oh wait, it's not a problem for them.
I was confused. There was no explanation to that. And so since you mentioned Dreamer's abilities, she gets Brainy out of that situation in the room. So is that where you were having issues with her abilities?
Well, I think I screamed at that point because that ability that she gets, so getting Brainy out of the room, was really cool. So what she does, as far as I could understand it, again, nothing happens for more than 15 seconds in this episode. So you had to do that, like the thing where you keep your eyes open, you stop yourself from blinking because you could have missed some important exposition. But it looked like she like fell asleep and then astral projected into the room and then was like beep bop boop and like got him out.
And she astral projected into the technology, like into the security code.
Oh, yes, open the door. That too. Yeah. So that is so cool, right? And it's a neat use of her powers. It makes a certain amount of sense to me that she could do it. Not entirely. It doesn't entirely make sense to me, but it's adjacent to what I would understand her powers to be. But she just pulls that out of nowhere. We've never seen her do that before.
Okay, I think we have seen her astral project.
Have we?
In my Google Doc notes, for what it's worth.
Please.
Nia did use astral projection in season 5, episode 4, which was titled In Plain Sight. It's when she goes to investigate William. She finds out that William's marriage is a lie. She astral projected and followed him, seeing that he got... I can't, my notes don't even make any sense. She astral projected to follow William and figure out what he was up to. So she did do that in season 5.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that looks like Lizeth said she did the same thing in season 4. Now, I don't remember either of those, obviously. So that was the first time I had remembered seeing it. But obviously she's done it. At least she's done it twice before, thank God.
I don't know that
she just does things.
I don't know that she's ever like done it through something though. That seemed new to me.
So Nicole says she astral projected from Shelly Island in season 4 to ionize the water molecules after Brainy left her heated her in his hypological state. So I forgot that entirely. So she's done it twice before. So that's my bad for forgetting.
Yeah,
in my defense, she does random stuff a lot with her power.
And they mentioned her ability to stop tidal waves, so that was in there. Electra WWF says she can astral project, but it's the first time she was able to interact with the environment.
Oh, and Laura says here that in the season 4 finale, when she has to tell Brainy where she was taken by the anti-alien people. So she's actually done this multiple times. So that's 100% on me for being like, this is a brand new power.
Well, she hadn't done it in a little while. So,
yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. And her powers aren't consistent, I think, is the real problem. So anytime that she pulls something out of her, her back pocket that she hasn't done in like a couple of, maybe a season or something, like I just assume it's like a brand new, tsunami power that she's got that she's now suddenly using. It did make sense though with her powers, like the astral projection at least was not like, and then you stop that tsunami. Remember that?
I know he was out for the count because he was, being kind of messed up by the radiation, but Brainiac 5 should be able to mess with technology. He should be able to open the door. He should be able to do codes like with his brain in the cartoons and the animated Legion of Superheroes TV show. He had like mechanical arms and stuff that would elongate. I was like, oh, you're not even trying with Brainy. You're just not even trying.
The thing is that they had a whole season about technology.
Yes.
And you would think that Brainy would be some amount of a part of that, right? Like not even a big part, maybe even, but just a part of it. And he was not part of any of the technology stuff at all. Like he's not really like you. I forget that he should be able to do technology type things because they don't ever have him do that.
He did stuff with the anti-life equation, and he helps Lena, I think, with the myriad portion.
But that was more like smart person stuff. That was more like him and Lena going like beep bop boop on the computer. Yeah. Versus like him being able to interface with computers. Like I want him to be able to do something that Lena Luthor can't, right? Yes. So that'd be great. Which listen, Lena Luthor, we've established can do it all, can pull it all off. One of the greats. But considering that he's like a superhero, you know, he's like he's not a robot, right? But he's
half a robot.
Like a cybernetic organism, right? So how did he not play a bigger part in their technology season?
He has controlled electronics before at the DEO. So it's strange to me that they didn't utilize him there. But he did survive Leviathan's situation in the lair there, and he did help defeat them. Speaking of Leviathan and that storyline from season 5, so Lex Luthor decided. Did we know that his whole goal was to get Leviathan powers transferred into his body? Did we ever hear that in season 5?
Don't think they ever established that. I do remember the mouse thing, but only because they like threw back to it that he was doing some experiment with mice. But yeah, no, I definitely didn't know that he was like planning on getting superpowers. I don't think that was established in any way.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I was like, wait, what is he doing? He's getting and I don't think they made it really clear because they basically said it was like Leviathan energy that he was getting pumped into him.
What is Leviathan?
But where were the powers coming from? Was that coming from Ramakan? Was that coming from them in the Bottle City? Was he like taking the energy from the bottle that he had shrunk him down into? Like, where was he getting that?
I wish it was from Ramakan because then suddenly he'd be like, ooh, I feel like I want to just like start a garden. I need to get out there and be one with nature. And then instead of like the fortress dance scene, it would just be him like twirling in a forest to Age of Aquarius. A different vibe, but still, along the same lines.
So I thought that was strange. I thought it was some of that stuff where they fought Lex, even though the CGI was pretty bad. It was kind of neat, like him in the middle of that like circular thing, and they were all fighting him in the sky. That was kind of cool. But I don't know. I didn't understand why he needed. I guess he does make it clear that his whole plan is he wants to fix the planets, and I guess he needed their powers to do that.
So Leslie says Lex's plan to be a god and become the Anti-Monitor was a new thing. So yes, They do mention a couple of times that like he wants to be the Anti-Monitor or he's going to become the Anti-Monitor if things go like along this track. Or I think my brain short circuited when they had that that CGI animation that looked like it wasn't even nice enough that I would call it like a cutscene from a video game. I think Mario has better graphics.
It was a good idea. It just it was not. It did not look great. Yeah.
No. I was like, what am I watching now?
Leslie does confirm that Lex got powers from the Leviathan aliens captured in the bottle. So I guess he did have Ramakan powers.
He did have some Ramakan powers. Oh,
not anymore, buddy. Not anymore.
I like the idea that like they literally bottled Leviathan, and then he was like, okay.
And they reused the thing that he strapped himself in to get the energy transfer. Didn't Agent Liberty use that? I swear.
I think so. I remember that very clearly. I feel like it was in the like It's a Wonderful Life, Kara and Lena.
It was in the 100th episode. It was because I think Lena got captured. Agent Liberty maybe captured
the romantic comedy of the Kara and Lena paths not taken.
So they're just reusing sets now. So Okay, so we talked a little bit about Lex and how Leviathan, we still know nothing about Leviathan. I'm hoping that if they do continue it, I hope we know something about in episode 2 that we'll find out about, because we still don't know who the head of Leviathan is. I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Who cares? At this point, it doesn't, I don't even care anymore. It's like, I kind of want to know, but you don't seem to care enough to want to tease it.
They definitely don't care about that. Oh, people are talking about the that like pod thing that Lex got in, and Leslie said Red Daughter was trapped in one of those tubes in quest for peace.
Yeah.
So it's been around.
Are those Lex's machines, I guess? He's like, I haven't used these in a while. I got to make use of this.
Listen, if you don't use them once a year, you can't write them off. I don't know. Yeah, they don't care about Leviathan at all is the thing. Like, I didn't care about Leviathan at all last year. and Amy from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast doesn't care about Leviathan either because she doesn't know anything about it.
Well, Amy, you know just about as much about Leviathan as we do.
It's true. It's really true. I just liked my theory that the head of Leviathan was going to be Lena's mom, played by Katie McGraw in a wig, and so that's hard to give up. I'll be honest.
Well, it kind of bothered me when I was watching the premiere, because I started to realize, okay, in season 4, we had to fight Lex at the end of season 4. Then at the end of season 5, we had to fight Lex at the end of season 5. Now at the premiere of season 6, we're still fighting Lex Luthor.
Now here we are in season 6, still fighting Lex Luthor.
I would like the head of Leviathan just to have somebody new, just to have something fresh, something different.
Yeah, it's like second verse, same as the first. It's his plans aren't even all that different half the time. That's the other thing that kind of bugs me. It's like, you think that you know what he's up to, and then twist, it was him all along and he was pulling the strings, and it's like, okay, like we've done this like a million times.
Yeah. It's getting a little old to me now. I would like something new. Speaking of which, Lex did win, kind of, in this episode. He did defeat Supergirl, and she was sent to the Phantom Zone. So, Morgan, what are your thoughts on Supergirl going to the Phantom Zone?
I screamed, we called it. It's not the Phantom of the Opera at the screen. And I had to explain to Mike that my initial thought on hearing the episode title Phantom of the Opera is that everybody was going to get fancy and go to the opera. Had a good laugh about that. It could still happen. I'm not giving up hope. Opera is coming. No, but I was excited that we, for once, we have made so many predictions. Nasty Luthor, Director Bones, Snapper snapping at some point in his tenure, and that not one of them has come to pass. Finally we call something. In your face. They said it couldn't be done.
I was trying to go back and figure out, because we've mentioned this several times about how we thought it would be cool if Supergirl went to the Phantom Zone over the course of Supergirl Radio's a long history. But the latest one that I could remember us talking about it was from our season 5 pitch meeting. So would you like to revisit that, just so that we can prove our point that we did call it, so we can have proof?
I would love it. And
I just want to give you a heads up. There is the tape rewind, so don't let it scare you. Mm-hmm. It's just want to prep everybody. We're going to go back in time. So enjoy this trip to the past. And the other location that I would put out there would be the Phantom Zone. Now, I know that Sci-Fi's Krypton I think is going to be in the Phantom Zone in season 2. So there might be a little bit of a conflict. But I think if they can get away with it, if Sci-Fi is finished with it in season 2, I would love to see the CW Supergirl take on the Phantom Zone and what that looks like. Because in the Helen Slater movie, I know, Morgan, you haven't seen it. We're gonna work on that. But the Phantom Zone stuff in that movie, in the Supergirl the movie, the Phantom Zone stuff is like my favorite part of that movie. It is emotionally gripping. It is just devastating in what happens there, and it's just grim, and it's so I just love it. The aesthetic of it is so cool, and I would love to see what Supergirl, the TV show, would do with that.
Yeah, that would be so interesting, and especially because they've talked about the Phantom Zone since season 1, but we've never been there.
So 2 years ago, we talked about Supergirl getting sent to the Phantom Zone. So I'm glad that the show finally caught up with us.
Yeah, I mean, we pitched it out there. We put it out there in the universe. We said, "Here, have this." I also like that clip for like the some of the things that we accomplished. Right? I watched the movie. It took a while, and watching it took a while. It's a very long movie, but we watched it. We had a whole debate about it. Now here we are in the Phantom Zone. Now I have a little bone to pick with the Phantom Zone. We don't know what it looks like yet, but it doesn't seem to look like Tron. And now I'm disappointed.
No, I'm not getting Tron vibes.
I got my hopes up. I was hoping for Tron. She's in the Phantom Zone. Nobody has neon on. What am I supposed to do? No
light up motorcycles. It's very disappointing. But she does get sent to the Phantom Zone via a Phantom Zone projector from the Fortress. So I'm actually really excited about this because it seems like Kara will get her own story. I was actually pretty moved. There was a lot of exposition all throughout this episode, but there were a couple of good character beats every now and then. And the one with Kara doing her legacy download into the crystals, I really liked that.
Oh yeah,
I thought that made me feel for Kara, and I hadn't felt like that in a long time.
I really liked that moment. And unfortunately, the episode around it was so frantic that you barely get the time to be like, oh my God, she was like basically doing her
last will and testament.
Basically. Yeah. Which is super emotional, but everything around it was so insane that I barely had time to like take it in. But I liked that beat for Kara. And I like the idea of the Phantom Zone because at the very least, those Phantom Zone stories are going to be all Kara, right? Unless she gets overshadowed by the new friend she makes along the way.
Oh.
What if she does bump into Zoltar and he's like, "It's my show now." This is the Zoltar show. But it's going to be a very Kara-centric story in the Phantom Zone. So I am excited about that. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, Andy says the only way Kara could get her own story was to literally leave the Earth and go to another dimension. So I'm glad we got there, though. We got there.
I think now that we're talking about the Phantom Zone, I want to get your opinion on a line that made me go, "What?" while we were watching, which is when she talks about like being in the Phantom Zone for like nearly a decade and like thinking of spending all of that time thinking about her planet being destroyed.
Yeah, she says,
how does time work in the Phantom Zone? Because I don't feel like this is what has been established previously. Am I wrong?
I think we talked about a couple of episodes ago about how time doesn't pass in the Phantom Zone. So I don't even know how she would know how many years she was there. But
I always got the impression that she shot out of the Phantom Zone many, many years later, right? But like without realizing like, hey, I've been stuck because shouldn't she, like, I feel like that's like way more traumatic. She would have been like physically, like a 12 or 14-year-old, but with like the mind of like a 24, 30-year-old. You feel like that would have come into play at any point in like, I don't know, the last 6 seasons or so.
Yeah, Supergirl says, "I was stuck in the Phantom Zone, replaying the destruction of my planet for nearly a decade." There were a couple of things that they said in this episode that made me think they really hadn't revisited some things. And I guess they can justify it as, oh, well, this is post-crisis. This is a new thing. We're just doing our thing, or, our new thing now. So I guess they could fudge it with,
we're just vibing. Everything's jazz.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
So I guess my second question, based off of that, is do we think that when she shoots back out of the Phantom Zone eventually, I don't know, maybe she'll just stay in there. Maybe she'll make it like a cozy dirt hut or something for herself and really like zhuzh it up. But when she comes out, is everybody going to be way older than her now? Because time passes different.
I mean, probably not. I don't
know. But by their own logic,
it probably should theoretically.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's how they're gonna play it. I'm going to the Phantom Zone wiki, the Arrowverse wiki entry for the Phantom Zone. It says, Kara says, Krypton's destruction sent a shockwave that knocked my pod off course and into the Phantom Zone, a region in space where time doesn't pass. I slept there for 24 years until somehow I got here. So 24 years.
Elektra also mentioned she was supposed to be stuck there for 24 years. When she landed, Cal was an adult and had become Superman. The almost a decade thing is a huge continuity error. So yeah, decade's not even a decade.
Yeah, Stu thinks maybe she'll come. I put up the wrong one. Stu thinks that she'll come back and Alex is adopted and raised a child off screen. That's how long
that would be incredible if she came back and Alex is like, "Oh my God, here's your nephew," and then a guy comes out and he's like, "Hey."
Yeah, so I don't know what to think about that. I guess they'll just justify it as, this is post-crisis. They also did that with Jean's mention of his daughter when he has two daughters.
Oh, no. I didn't even notice that. Oh, Crisis got rid of one of his daughters.
So either the writers really screwed up a bunch of stuff in this episode or they're just doing a new thing.
This is Diggle's kids all over again.
Yes, exactly.
Finally something that's not Barry's fault.
Oh my gosh. Since we're talking about traveling through different dimensions and the ending battle with Lex, I have a beef to pick about these portal watches.
Oh, yeah, now everyone has one and they're just using them like crazy.
They are using them like Vibe would do on The Flash.
I feel like I can't remember if I tweeted it to you or if I just messaged you directly. It was like, have there ever been this many portals on Supergirl?
Alex has a portal watch. Lex has a portal watch. Lena has a portal watch. Lillian had a portal watch. And even Andrea can teleport places because of her shadow powers.
Are they
anybody can go anywhere?
They mass producing these portal watches? Suddenly everyone had one.
And they were porting, is porting the right word? They were teleporting into the Fortress of Solitude like it was nothing. How do you just, and Supergirl gave Lex the coordinates for the Fortress of Solitude. Why would she do that? Why? I mean, I know she did it because they were setting up a trap and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get over that.
I think what I want to know is, when did Lena put a protocol in the Fortress of Solitude? I want to know, was that had to have been post-fight, right? So are we to believe that at some point Lena snuck into the Fortress of Solitude while they were fighting? She's like, I hate you, Kara Danvers, but she's plugging in the numbers for a protocol that's going to save her in the case of emergency. She's just like, you're such a stupid head. Okay, all right, we're going to call this the Lena Luthor protocol. I learned Kryptonese just so I could put this in, and then she puts a little heart at the end. She's like, I hate you, and then she walks out. What? How did that even happen?
the Kryptonese used to say, I'm still mad. But
yes, but she went in there and she Hope, you have to change something for me real fast. we gotta flip that Lena Luthor protocol.
I would take that over the other scenario where she could just hack into the Fortress of Solitude's technology remotely.
Well,
that's the worst option.
Listen, I'm not going to say that it's all been downhill after Kal-X, but let's be honest, it has been.
Yeah, where's the security of the fortress?
They had a security. He was adorable and I loved him, and they killed him. And so I feel like the rest is on them.
And the worst part about that, I didn't get a chance to go through all the Kryptonese, but I went through one screen cap really quickly. It made no sense. It was
well, I mean, it does it makes sense to me though, because I don't think Lena actually knows Kryptonese.
Doesn't Lena know you can just go to supermanhomepage.com and download the font?
Download the font. Lena does not know that. Lena knows so many other things in this world, but she doesn't know about that font.
I thought maybe because in Kryptonese, every letter of the alphabet, let's just say for lack of better terms, is equal to something in the English alphabet. So it like you have one symbol which is a D, one symbol which is an F, and they didn't even have the right amount of alphabet letters for the English translation. So I don't even know what that was supposed to be. Their inability to use Kryptonese correctly on the show drives me bonkers.
Especially since there's a font you can just download.
Just go to Superman homepage.
We have a comment that says Lena put the protocol in when Kara, Lena, and Alex were at the fortress before the meeting with Lex. So, I mean, I buy that. I like my theory better where she snuck in last season when she was really mad, but like did it anyway because she was like, you're going to need this someday. And then you'll thank me. Then, it'll be, Lena, I wish you knew the secret all along. Like she's talking to herself as she's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool that like the little drone came in and gave Supergirl the ability to recover from the kryptonite. I thought that was cool. The only problem with doing that is that you're never going to put Supergirl in any kind of danger ever again because she's always going to have that little drone to come around and save her. But at least this time it was like it came in with a little bit of sunlight and she was able to recover from that because of it.
It would have been nice if it came in, dropped just like a little patch of grass.
Just a little grass. You don't have to get fancy about it.
Thank God. She's like slowly petting it,
Yeah, so there is that. I guess we could talk a little bit about Alex. Or we're still talking about Lena.
One more Lena thing, which is I missed all of these things, by the way. Lena entered the protocol when she was telling Kara she wouldn't let this be a suicide.
Oh yeah, mission. She was at that
That's
console,
true. She was at that console.
Yeah.
So she entered it then. I'll let go of my theory about last season, but no, I did.
Hang on, that makes it even worse though, because the fortress should have the Kryptonian font.
I guess not. The fortress doesn't even know. The fortress is like, oh no.
Anyway, what were you going to say? I interrupted. Sorry.
I was going to say I did like that scene where Lena tells Kara like, I'm not going to let this be like a suicide mission for you, because I think that kind of went into that sort of actual emotional beat where she's like recording her last will and stuff like that in the oh my God, how did I forget the fortress? In the fortress.
Yes.
So I liked that moment, but like everything around it was so crazy.
It was so crazy. It barely had time to breathe in a lot of scenes. So is it okay if we move on to Alex? Because there are a couple things I want to talk about.
Oh my God, so much with Alex. There's so much of that eye makeup.
You know what? I've come to realize I don't have a problem with the eyeshadow. It's the little blue hair that I have the issue with.
So I feel like to me it's more the eyeshadow just because it's so thick and so dark and there's so much of it. It like comes all the way up to her like her eyebrow. It's like it's too much.
I respect the artistry of the eyeshadow.
Yes, I understand. The blue thing in her hair.
Why is it there?
It doesn't make sense. Like at least the eyeshadow, you could kind of say, okay, anyone who looks at her would be like, that's not Alex Danvers. What's going on with that? No. She knows how to put on eyeshadow. But the blue thing in the hair is doing nothing for her superhero identity. Nothing.
She has a hood.
She has a hood
that goes over the hair.
And like, what's the plan? Either she's keeping that blue streak forever now, which might give her away more, or what's she going to dye it before she goes on any kind of super adventure?
I think it's related to that thing she has. Like that watch, like she puts that on and like her eyeshadow in the hair and stuff.
But then why would she program just one strip? Just go
I don't get
blue
it.
then.
I don't get it. I don't
get it.
I don't
I would
get
be
it.
supportive of like a cool blue-haired Alex with like a scary amount of eyeshadow on, like a frightening amount of eyeshadow on, just like really like kicking butt. But the one blue strand doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a little distracting for me. I find that to be more of an issue than the eyeshadow, but
I mean, at least like dye some real estate on your head, right? And like not just the one strand.
that would at least justify hiding the secret identity. I would get that. I would buy that if you change the hair color.
It can't be Alex. That girl's hair is blue, and look how much eyeshadow she has on. Like, no, I get that. It's like the one strand feels kind of useless.
Yeah.
What do you think of the name Sentinel?
I think it's it's fitting for Alex. I meant to do this before we went live, and I totally forgot because I think it let me go a Sentinel definition. I wanted to look that up because I thought it was pretty fitting. Merriam-Webster says that so basically a sentinel is someone who watches over something. So I think that's a good it's a good use of that word for her. We have a tweet about that. I guess we could talk about that now. At L Vampiro 9878 asks, is the superhero name that Alex gets in this episode from the comics? And New Rachel helped me out because I hadn't gotten a chance to look it up yet. But New Rachel said that Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern in DC Comics, has used the name Sentinel. So there is a Sentinel in DC Comics, but they've used it for Alex here. And I like the story that Martian Manhunter tells Alex about his friend Norcott, who used the Sentinel name on Mars. So Norcott is actually in DC Comics as well. So that was a good pull from the comics. The only thing is I couldn't figure out, and I was wondering if you could help me with this, Morgan. Do you understand her symbol?
No.
What is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I paused it and then I asked myself, what am I looking at? And I still, like, looking at the screenshot, I still don't know. What is it? Does anybody in the chat know what the symbol is? Because I also thought it was really funny that he happened to have it like on a thing that he could put on the wall, like custom made. Like I hope she likes the name because you decided you already custom made it for. What if she's like, you know what? I actually had like a different name in mind. Like
I was thinking about something else
as he's putting it in. She's like, ooh, this is awkward.
Yeah. Emma thinks oops, I pulled up the wrong one. Emma thinks it might be a rose. Maybe.
It kind of looks like you could look at it like a flower, like a tulip, maybe even.
It kind of looks like I don't know if that's a star in the middle. I don't know. Mark thinks it looks like someone decorated a canoe paddle at summer camp. Also, a good interpretation. It does look like that.
Anthony says it's the Martian symbol for blue eyeshadow, which I believe is solid.
That's correct. That's the answer. I think we figured it out. So that's what it is.
Andy thinks it looks like a wine glass, and actually, it kind of does.
Yeah, I think these are all
like
great
a stemless
options.
wine glass. Alex does like her drink, so
he does. Let's see. L.Rainbow3 says, I thought it was a shovel. So that's also a good interpretation. Yeah. So I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I think that they should workshop the symbol is the thing.
I think they need to work on it a little bit.
Yeah. I think she needs to kind of like, it's too bad Win isn't here because Win, I think, would be like, let's rethink certain aspects of this superhero identity. I feel like he would have that straightened out. He would have like the hood situation, take down the eyeshadow a little bit, get her symbol that
definitely
means
get
something.
rid of the blue streak in the hair.
He'd tell her to commit to more blue or less blue.
All blue or no blue. Rachel says she thinks it looks like a sheriff's badge. That could also be also be an option. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who was like, what is that?
I had no idea. I was like, I don't even know where to begin to guess.
And since we're talking about hair situations, I wanted to ask you about this. Working it or Wiggy?
Oh.
For audio listeners, we're looking at a screenshot of the Supergirl hologram that talked to Lex and Lillian. That definitely looks like a wig to me.
Yeah,
right?
that looks like a wig. My guess for this season is that Kara is going to be in the Phantom Zone just long enough to grow out her bangs, but no longer.
So, do you think that Melissa may have changed her hairstyle to be no bangs, and then they had to put a wig on her for continuity in the premiere?
I think so. I think we're gonna be dealing with like a bang situation this season.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty wiggy myself. It normally I can take wigs if they look natural, if it's not distracting, but that one, like right off the bat, I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? So it's a little too much. Yeah. So Mark thinks maybe Melissa recorded that later, but didn't have the same hair anymore. I think that's what it was. So they had to go back to the bangs.
Electra says, when we saw Kara unconscious in the Phantom Zone, suddenly her bangs were gone. What if that's like the worst thing that the Phantom Zone does is it changes your hairstyle? Yes. Rachel says, did the Phantom Zone take away her bangs? I think so.
I'd be okay with that. I always liked Supergirl's hairstyle better when she didn't have I was fine with the bangs, but I liked it better when she had like kind of the princess curls.
I grew to accept the bangs, but I never loved the bangs. So I won't be sad to see the bangs say goodbye.
Yeah, I'm okay if the bangs get out of here. So I guess if we have to go into the Phantom Zone and lose the bangs, I guess I'm okay with that.
What did you think about like the Lena Luthor Brainy situation of it all? Because both of them had sort of, let's just say, gray area last season. Some of them a little worse than others. And I thought that they actually handled that scene between the two of them. I think that's like the exact scene that the premiere needed, because it had literally no time to have anybody be like, Lena, we still feel mixed things about you, because they were like, just wasn't time for that. So having both of those characters that people are kind of like, well, you did some shady things last year, but we want to get over season 5 as fast as possible, so we're never going to discuss them again. I think having them in a scene together talking really helped to accomplish that sort of like wrap up of like, okay, remember when Lena was briefly trending towards the dark side? Us neither, bye-bye. But I appreciated that she was like, oh, Brainy, I understand that you worked with my brother who is evil, and everybody does know that, but I did try to mind control the world. So if we're trying to out evil each other here, I win again.
Yeah, Electra says, I'm glad Lena pointed out that that what she did was worse than what Brainy did, because it was. That is correct.
I wanted to hear Lena give Brainy some more like really terrible like therapist advice. Yeah, like Brainy, see, like what you did was bad, but what you really want to do is never apologize for it. Like the things that Lena Luthor thinks are like normal, totally chill things. Like when everybody else is like, whoa, that's weird. No, you shouldn't do that. And she's like, no, you're going to want to compartmentalize and never open that box.
It's pretty bad advice. I thought it was a great scene. There was a lot of technical things that Katie had to deliver. The words were pretty big, $10 words. So for her to be able to get that out, I thought was pretty impressive. But I like that. I thought that was one of the better scenes in the premiere. And
yeah, it was one of my favorites just because it felt like there was room to breathe in that scene and just experience the characters and like see their emotions, and everybody weren't just yelling nonsense words at each other and portaling in and out of locations. So that was that scene was one of my favorites, definitely. I felt like that was like, okay, I understand what's happening in the scene. There are two people, human, like people, and they're having emotions, and they're talking to each other, and nobody's throwing a bottle city of Leviathan at anybody else, or the anti-life equation or whatever. Like, I don't need to worry about that. Like, I can just focus on the character journeys. And I feel like Supergirl like does best when it focuses on their characters. They've got a really strong cast, they've got great characters, and they end up putting so much other stuff where, like, you're in this premiere, you're watching, you're like, what? Huh? Like, another thing, like when we were talking about, you know, how this premiere kind of felt overstuffed, kind of like it was three episodes shoved together that should have been the end of a season and the beginning of a premiere. Because it kind of was. That was COVID's fault. But like, Jean and M'gann do this weird like Martian mind meld apparently in space. They're like, okay, here we go. And he's really concerned about, like, she's going to see everything. She's going to understand, like, my family and my, you know.
His one daughter.
My one daughter. I've never had two. And my negative feelings about white Martians. He's really scared, and they're like, it's okay. And like, they do the thing in the space. It's the CGI is beautiful. And then you never hear about it again. Like, there's no fallout. There's no, John and M'gann don't have a scene afterwards where she's like, oh, gnarly in your brain. Like, there's nothing. There's no follow up to that. And I'm not saying that there won't be, but like, to set it up that heavily, like in the beginning, and then have no work back around, to me, it felt like, yeah, because there were so many things that this episode needed to accomplish, so that just went on the back burner. But like, storytelling wise, I was like, oh, we're not gonna check in on that.
Yeah, that was a pretty big deal. They went up and they did the binding, and they had to like blow up some satellites to knock out some mind control. It's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I don't envy what they had to do, because they had to cram a whole bunch of stuff in that they couldn't get in last season. So they had to wrap all that up and pay all the, but they didn't even pay everything off, though. That's the thing that
we're never going to know about Leviathan.
We're never going to know about Leviathan. You had one job. That whole season was about Leviathan and who was the head of Leviathan.
I would have even accepted if like some lady just walked in and was like, I'm the head of Leviathan, and they immediately kill her.
I'd be fine with that.
That's fine. It's like, oh, who was the head of Leviathan? It was Doris. Oh my God, it could have been Pam from HR. They could have just brought that round circle, and then nobody would have any follow-up questions, and then move along.
Yeah, so there was a lot they had to accomplish, but they did have a few good scenes where it was just characters talking to each other and having emotional beats, and I thought it was good. The Lena Brainy one was a standout, I thought, because they did have a lot in common. They both trended toward the evil side in season 5, so I think it was good for them to hash that out. So there were some good moments like that in the episode, but I think you used the word frantic earlier, and it definitely was. It felt very frantic.
Yeah, every scene felt like they had just like sat everybody down and said, okay, in this scene, I want you to speak as fast as possible, and everybody just run around. I'm watching you go like, oh my God, make it stop.
Yeah, it does. The show does a lot better when it focuses on the characters. Katie says that maybe they didn't wrap up Leviathan because their story isn't done yet.
Look, what's the worst scenario? I can't decide. Is it that we'll never know, or that it might be ongoing? We might have to get more of it.
They have to make me care about it again, because now they've sucked out all the air from it, and I don't care. So you gotta make me care about it again.
Like, I didn't care much to begin with. They never really gave me a huge reason to care, and now they've kind of semi wrapped it up. I care less, if possible. And if they bring it back up, I'll be like, these people again?
Yeah. So I guess I'm curious, what was your, just to kind of wrap up our discussion, because we have a lot of feedback we got to get to, and we have some snap judgments.
Oh yeah.
So everybody get ready for that. So I guess, Morgan, what's your high point for this premiere? What's your low point?
Oh my gosh. I think the high point for me is either that scene of Kara recording her last will, or that scene between Lena and Brainy, because I felt like we really needed to circle back around on Lena, who, like, her flirtation with the dark side was a huge storyline in season 5 that they wrapped up in the finale in about 5 minutes. And then we got no follow-up, and there wasn't any time in this premiere for any follow-up. So at least we got that scene with her and Brainy kind of talking about it and being like, oh, almost going evil's wild, right? And I appreciated that. And also I like their scenes together. I think that they tend to have good scenes together, and Katie and Jesse are good actors, so they really they sold it. So those, I think those are my high points. My low points, my low points, I think, were just mostly just my confusion level, and how it mounted throughout the episode, and how many times I went, wait, what? Or like, did I miss something? Turns out, yes, many things.
Just like an episode of or an issue of DC Rebirth.
Well, that was the joke I think I made on Twitter, which is that watching this episode was almost the exact experience I've had reading Rebirth in the comics, which is going, wait, did I miss an issue? Like, I felt like, did I miss an episode? Was there an episode over the summer that I missed? It was the same experience. So in many ways, my negative is kind of a positive, because they did tell us what we were about to get in the title. They said Rebirth, and they delivered that experience.
Yes. Yeah, my high point was probably Supergirl going into the Phantom Zone. I'm very excited about that. My low point, I'm going to be honest, is the killing of Pencil Skirt.
Pencil Skirt.
I'm a little upset about it. I feel like she was hastily gotten rid of. I think you could have done so much more with her. She did get to grow big and scary with the pigtails.
She got to chomp some scenery on her way out, but I wish we had gotten more of this Pencil Skirt.
Yeah, I guess maybe my low point would be some of the bad dialogue. There were a couple of those. It was like, what was the other one? It was something like, "What did you dream, dreamer?" And I was like, no, stop.
I dreamed a dream. I dreamed a dream. What if she did everything like that Les Mis song, though? Like, that's how she always reported her dreams.
That could maybe make it more interesting, possibly.
I'm gonna pitch that. That's for the opera episode. We figured it out.
You can make that work. All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for our hour discussion. I'm sure there'll be more we talk about, but let's find out what our listeners had to say about the season premiere titled Rebirth.
Oh, man, it's been so long since I've read tweets about an episode. Right? I almost forgot how to do this. At Patty Mello 20 said, this episode was weird. Not bad, though. It was nice to Lena and Kara working together now that Lena knows everything. Can we never see Lex again, please? I can't take him anymore. Is Leviathan gone for good? I'm confused. As are we all. At A_weird girl said, this was a very good episode. I think it would have been a really good season finale, but it was a good premiere too. I still don't get exactly what Leviathan is, or who is in charge, or how exactly they defeated them. But okay. You know what? I want a weird girl to like, I wish I was in school and she could just grade all my papers. It's like, I liked this episode. I didn't understand a single thing that happened, but I'm chill. I like your vibe. So she says, I'm excited to see what the Kara in the Phantom Zone story. I'm excited to see about the Kara in the Phantom Zone storyline. And all I could think about when Kara was dying was why the fortress doesn't have some grass for her to absorb.
They need to look into that.
They really do. Just call up your local Home Depot. At Collide one said, I was so psyched to see the show come back, but the writing was awful. Have we seen Dreamer use the astral form before? We have. And then she's able to be solid in it. I'm glad it picked up the action right away, and it was great to see more of Magan. If this is a preview of the rest of the season, maybe it's best it ends. I've loved this show, even with its preachy tone at times, but this was really kind of painful. Will I watch the whole season? You betcha. On the plus side, the Martian satellite scene was pretty cool and well done compared to much of the CW special effects. And most of Melissa Benoist's performance was, as usual, great. And I love seeing Alex fight, so not all bad to be sure.
That's a good optimistic tweet.
I like how optimistic that got. It was like, this is bad, but also it could be good too. At Zandani said, honestly, I have two reactions. One, thank God they finally cleared up if Kelly knew about Kara or not. And now that we know, all I have to ask is, how did she not know? Two, clearly the Phantom Zone is where you go when you want to grow out your bangs in an instant. Should we talk about the Kelly thing now?
Yeah, I wanted to pull up a clip from our episode with Donna Chromeans, the Sisterhood of Steel episode. Maybe for the audio version, I'll put this in. I wasn't able to get the video clip done in time, but we recently discussed that last year about whether or not Kelly knew, and none of us knew. So I'm glad they at least confirmed it in this episode that she didn't know.
I feel like I'm going to go back and rewatch like some of season 4 and season 5, and I'm going to end up with more questions than answers about that, though. I'm going to be like, wait, Kelly didn't know, but what about what? But at least we now have it confirmed that she doesn't know. But then Lena was like, Kelly is your person, and you should tell her about the secret. I know this because I flipped out at Kara when she didn't tell me. I thought that was really funny because we all know that people are big fans of the Kara and Lena relationship and like them romantically. And the show a lot of times is like, no, we're not going to do that. But sometimes they don't do themselves any favors when they're like, we're going to parallel this committed romantic relationship with our friendship, our totally platonic friendship.
Yeah, that was strange. Why would you do that if they send a lot of mixed messages with that.
They sure do. At Super Oli 74 said, great start to the end of season. Great start to the end of season episode. Finally, we know that Kelly never knew that Kara is Supergirl. Yes, the Phantom Zone. Anything now is possible. At El Vampiro 9878 asked, is the superhero name that Alex gets in this episode from the comics?
Yeah, and we talked about that with Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern in DC Comics, using the name Sentinel.
That's really cool. At DJ Writer said, a solid start with great individual moments. And of course, my favorite part were strong moments between the Danvers sisters.
Yeah, there were some good Danvers sisters moments, which I was glad to see. Although at one point, Lena did interrupt them. And I was like, can you just give them a minute? Can you just not?
What if every time somebody's having like a private conversation, Lena just like kind of pops up from behind something? She's like, is it Mina? Is it Mina? Oh, no.
She did it again with Jean and Alex at the end.
She did.
Like, Alex, Lena, just wait your turn.
I like, because my theory is that now that Lena is part of Team Supergirl, she's going to be like too eager about it. She's going to be like really weird, like no social cues. And she's just going to be like bursting into people's private conversations, like Supergirl stuff. Oh, no, you were just, you guys were having like a fight about your relationship. I'm just gonna go. But I just want her to be like really weird and awkward. Like, yeah, Supergirl, we all know the secret. And they're like, please, you need to take it down like a couple of notches. Just a little bit. We're all excited you're here. At Electra WWF said, Brainy apologized for what happened with Lex, but it would have been nice to have the Super Friends acknowledge that they should have given him the benefit of the doubt instead of assuming the worst, now that they know what he was actually trying to do. There just wasn't time.
Yeah, and Nia, I think, understood, and she forgave him with that.
Yeah, I feel like they made Nia like the designated Super Friends like point of contact to kind of tell him that. Yeah. At SL Fricky said, the anti-life equation is found. Can't wait for Darkseid versus Rama Khan.
That would be the dream.
Listen, you can't promise me something like that. Bald guy with rock skin versus bald guy who control Earth should be pretty short but epic. my God, that's so good. Dreamer, what'd you dream? Say that 5 times fast. Memory of my daughter. Daughters, John. Picking out a lot of things that we noticed as well. At Frank Tall Inverter said, there were good things, Lex going nuts with the arsenal, but all in all, not a great episode. Pet peeves. Supergirl fight choreography still has her standing still too much. Nia's power set needs to be defined ages ago. All around forced lazy writing to make things happen. Yeah, I mean...
I wish they would play with Supergirl, like, in midair more. Like, if they would have her, like... I don't know. Zack Snyder did it with Henry Cavill's Superman, where sometimes he would float. You know, like I just wish they would do more things like with her flight a little more. I know they probably can't do too much of that because of effects and things like that. But if she's walking around or standing a lot, it's weird. Like, you can fly. Why don't you levitate?
It's like, we don't have it in the budget. At KT Walker said, so are they really committed to that eyeshadow? Also, at this point, I'm convinced Superman and Lois is set on another Earth, or at a much later time, because the shows aren't lining up. Oh, Superman and Lois doesn't care about this little old show. I think I saw Andy tweet something at us about how the fortresses are completely, totally different looking and like not aligned in any way. Anyway,
yeah,
that's fun. That's fun.
I don't know on Superman and Lois just yet if his Fortress of Solitude security is any better.
What if Kalex is back in his?
His
fortress.
I haven't seen a Kelex, but I haven't watched the last 2 episodes of Superman and Lois. 1 or 2.
No, I've watched the premiere, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I want to believe that if they're going to ignore everything about Supergirl, except her comics lore, which they're going to borrow heavily from, can we at least get Kalex back? Like, I feel like that's a decent trade-off.
And Kelex has been in Superman, like he's Superman's like Kryptonian robot. Like he's a robot on Krypton, so
they're pals.
Yeah,
so.
They should. He's like their Kryptonian, the L family Kryptonian robot. So why wouldn't he be in the Fortress on Superman and Lois?
I'm fingers crossed for Kalex. Kalex rises. At I am no guitar hero said, glad to have Supergirl back, although it was not my favorite premiere or season finale. I'll give them a pass on it being rushed or somewhat incohesive due to COVID and Melissa's maternity leave. There are 2 things that really bugged me, though. The biggest one was that Kara assumed that she was going to be killed by Lex, and it felt as if she just went there to be blasted by kryptonite. She should have put up some sort of fight, have some plan, even if indeed she were killed at the end, unless she knew that she would be revived by the sunlight drone. I was not a fan of that scene at all, and I really want to see Kara herself really get the best of Lex in the end. Second is the over-reliance on gadgets versus using Kara's powers. For example, defeating robot Gemma with a fancy flash drive. That's a good way of putting it. Versus something involving Kara's powers more, although she did do some fancy acrobatics to use it, or having a gun to depower Lex before defeating him. That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like she, didn't really use her powers for anything that, like, contributed to solving the problem.
I guess it's good that they use technology to defeat technology. That makes sense to me.
But you said you can't destroy technology. Take this flash drive.
But yeah, it was weird that they spent money doing heat vision effects at Lex when it didn't really do anything.
I know. At Kenny Curley said, a good final season premiere of Supergirl had a ton of great action, intensity, and adventure. What will Team Supergirl do while Kara is trapped in the Phantom Zone? Only time will tell. The final season is underway.
Yeah, so Morgan, what are your thoughts? What are your speculations? Are they gonna patrol around National City in the place of Supergirl?
I think that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to be like, okay, while we try to get Supergirl out of the Phantom Zone. I think it's going to be like a mix of patrolling National City because there's no DEO now. They destroyed that, and you know that they wouldn't just find another government building. They just shut the whole thing down. Oh, they destroyed the building. I guess there goes the whole program that was in it.
Can't rebuild a building.
No, we sure can't. We can't just find another building. That's crazy talk. So I think that they're going to be doing a lot of like patrolling around, and then also a lot of like trying to figure out how to get her out of the Phantom Zone.
If it was me, I would have maybe Magan put on the Supergirl Daft Punk suit.
Ooh,
and that's how you like fake it that Supergirl's still around.
Fake it till you make it.
They're gonna have to.
They should definitely keep Magan around, though. Yes. I hope, like, I know we talked about, like, oh, William and Andrea are still here. Cool. But you got to cut that fat. But, but Magan is somebody who I was like, yeah, please keep her around.
Yeah, I think she serves a purpose.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would like it if she stayed around. All right. Well, we have an email from Courtney who asks, why in the world would Kara call William to tell him she left town for the special interview for Kat? It's not like they're dating. This seems like just an awful way of trying to make the Kara-William relationship happen. Yeah, it seems like they're still trying to do that, even though how are they going to have that happen while Kara's in the Phantom Zone for presumably a long stretch of time?
Yeah, so this is my issue with it. Besides the staggering lack of chemistry, it's just they barely did anything with it last season at all. They forgot about him for most of the season, and they brought him back, and they're like, "Crap, we needed to make a romance happen. Could we do it in an episode?" And somebody was like, "No, that wouldn't make sense," and they went shh to that person, and then did it anyway. But like. So she's going to be in the Phantom Zone for a couple of episodes. So at like the most, they're going to get a half a season of romance. Is that going to be like the person that she goes out of her final season off into the sunset with, like this random dude?
It's so weird. Like they could have just ignored it in this premiere.
Yeah,
they could have just act like none of that ever happened, and we would have been fine with it.
They could have dropped it like going. Yeah, they could have dropped it like a hot potato, like they did in the season 2 premiere with Kara and James,
which had a much bigger build-up.
A whole season of build-up, and they were like, "Actually, we kissed," and we were like, "Nah."
Yeah, that was really strange to me. So I guess we're still going with the Kara-William thing, even though they don't have a lot of time for it. Courtney also wrote in to share some thoughts about the CJ Grant flashback for the final season, writing, quote, Kat Grant can't be young because in the season 3 episode titled Midvale, Eliza Danvers was reading one of her books. You can see it in one of the first scenes when she's at the kitchen table waiting for the girls to come down for breakfast. By then, she's already writing memoirs. So she's obviously an established writer. This season's flashback episode won't make any sense. Then again, Midvale was also before Crisis. I have a feeling that a lot of their mistakes that they're going to be making are just going to be, it's post-Crisis, man. What are we going to do?
Well, the Crisis is their like story continuity get out of jail free card, right? Like they're going to just ride that until the end of the show. They're like, oh, something doesn't make sense. Oh, it's post-Crisis, man. We're just living in this crazy post-Crisis world. It's like, I mean, you could try some continuity. You could try it. Just see how it feels.
So it's really frustrating to have followed the show for 5 seasons up until now. And none of that matters anymore.
Yeah.
So at least try to honor some of the show, please.
It's fun. Crisis has been great. So Alex wrote in to say, way too many characters with way too many side storylines. They even brought Otis back for some reason. I forgot about that, by the way. I forgot that they brought Otis back.
And he didn't really serve a purpose. Lillian could have handled all of that by herself. Why did Otis need to be there?
A sight gag, basically. I love that we lost Mercy, but we still got him just popping up occasionally.
And he serves no purpose whatsoever.
Oh, boy. So Alex went on to say, I was hoping this last season would concentrate on Kara. I hope that will be the case, but based on this episode, I highly doubt it. It looks like they will also spend a lot of time wrapping up the growing team member storylines.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm at the point in the season now that I'm really hopeful about the Kara Phantom Zone thing. I'm hoping this will be good for the character of Supergirl.
Yeah, me too.
Irmgard writes us an email saying, quote, "What a great episode. It had everything I love about the show. The Danvers sisters moments in the fortress were great, telling each other what love they have for each other and teaming up to stop Lex. Nia and Brainy working on their relationship. Jean and Magan fighting together. Lena finally figuring out why Kara has to have her secret and also saying she did some bad things. Lena and Alex scenes were great. I wish we could have had more of them in the last 5 seasons. The writers missed an opportunity with those two. Only question is, why did Dreamer's gun break, unquote? That is a great question. So when they go into the fortress, they're like, we're going to stop you, Lex. We're here and, we're going to take you down. And then Dreamer is going to fire that jar. What's it called? I'm going to look that up. I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. What is that stuff called? The Jarhan Purium.
Purium. That's right.
And it doesn't go off, like it fails to go off for the first time. And then it's like the little thing is on the floor and Supergirl kicks it to Alex and Alex puts it in the gun and finally shoots it. I think it was just, they had to make it fail so that later they could make it work. I think that's the only reason.
They needed to add some dramatic tension.
Yeah, I think it was just to make you think the good guys were gonna lose.
So Mary sent us an email to ask the question, did Jean and Magan just pray the satellites away? I rewatched the episode and I still don't get it. Oh, Mary, not the only one. I wasn't quite sure I was clear on how their mind melds was going to destroy the satellites.
I'm a little confused on that too. They say that the only way to shut down Lex's satellites is to shut all of them down at the same time. So they have to do it. They have to sync it up. And they use a Martian ritual, which translates to the binding. It's called Dorkri Sutra. And it requires the joining of minds and synchronization of thoughts. So they have to synchronize their minds together. And it creates a web of psychic energy that can literally bind onto things and move them in unison. So they talk about moving it, but they just ended up blowing them up. So I don't know. They could have just gone up there and punched them.
Yeah,
right?
at the same time.
They had to do it at the same time.
They could have had a countdown though.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, punch.
But they didn't have enough people that could fly.
That's true. That's true.
So basically, they just synced their minds up to destroy the satellites.
That makes more sense than what I thought, which was I don't know, when they sync their minds, maybe there's an energy.
Yeah, I think it was just they had to blow up the satellites at the same time. So they did look like they were praying though, the way they were using their hands. V wrote in to say, quote, "To be honest, this whole Alex being a superhero thing feels a little flat to me. She was a badass Agent Danvers from the pilot episode, so I don't know why she needs a special costume with pseudo powers and gimmicks and stuff now. It makes it seem a little tacky, in my opinion. Alex is Alex, a super cool and hot agent vigilante. She doesn't need all the extra accoutrement. I guess it helps her visually fit in more during the group shots, so I'll concede to that. Just kind of annoying the show feels the need to develop her aesthetically instead of by writing a decent character progression or story," unquote. That's a really great point, V. That maybe they could have done a lot more story for Alex instead of focusing on how do we make her a superhero.
I agree. Alex was already very, very cool. She didn't really need a superhero name and an indecipherable symbol for that. But I feel like that's kind of what this show does, right? When it doesn't know what to do with a character, it's make them a vigilante. It did that with James. When it had no idea what to do with him anymore because he was just a normal person, it made him into a vigilante. And I kind of feel for the most part, the show just doesn't know what to do with normal people. And Alex isn't even normal. She's a cool agent. One time she escaped a tank with her only with her pants. I've never forgotten that.
That was a great episode.
One of the all-time great moments of anything I've seen. But Alex Danvers doesn't need eyeshadow, a thick layer of eyeshadow, in my opinion, to be a superhero. She's already a superhero. So I don't know why she needs like a fancy name or anything. And
yeah, Laura says Alex needs the suit and alter ego because she isn't protected by being a government law enforcement employee anymore.
okay.
And I guess that's a fair way to justify that. I think, to your point, Morgan, the characters who weren't superheroes were still great characters. James was a great character despite all the Guardian stuff. He was just a great character on his own. And I always thought that Alex was the same way.
Yeah, that is a good point about now that she's no longer a DEO employee and they destroyed the DEO. Like, I guess they would need some way for her to just not be all around going like pew pew as a civilian. Pew pew. So yeah, that's the thing I buy the most out of like the superhero thing, but it does feel like they feel like every character needs to have like a superhero name and identity and stuff like that. And it's like some of the characters can just she can just be Alex Danvers. Like, that is a superhero. So
do you think William's going to become a superhero?
Oh my God, if they had more time, yes, I do think he would have. They've only got a season and they don't care about him at all. So I don't think it's going to happen. But give them a season 7 and yeah, he's going to be like the Guardian Part 2, too fast, too Guardian or something. So Gina also wrote in with some thoughts on Alex's new role as a superhero, saying, the one thing that really bothered me was Alex now being a superhero. I thought it would be sort of temporary, but now that John gave her a superhero name, it's more permanent than I like. The best thing about Alex Danvers is being the normal one between the sisters, having to try and fight alongside Kara without having powers and using her wits and weapons to do that. I didn't mind her having that alien weapon, but to have a whole separate identity and a suit just crosses that line for me. Again, maybe it's because of how thrown into the episode I felt, but I almost couldn't take her seriously.
Yep, there's no turning back now. She's got a superhero suit, she's got the eyeshadow, and she's got a name and a symbol now.
She bought a giant paint can worth of blue eyeshadow, and what's she gonna do? What else is she gonna do with that?
She is committed to that Sentinel life now. Daryl wrote in to ask, quote, is anyone else surprised at how much Lillian supposedly now cares about Lena? I thought she always viewed Lena as a mistake, unquote. I don't think so. I always thought that that Lillian did care about Lena. She just didn't want her to know it.
I always thought that Lillian cared about Lena in the only way that she could possibly care about another human being. That's the most that she could care. She's like, no, you don't understand. I do love you. Like, this is how I show love, by trying to throw you in prison and kill all of your friends. Like, that's what love is, right? And Lena's like, no, for the last time, no, it's not. And she's like, I think it is, though. No, I always got the impression that she cared about Lena. She loved Lena. She's just not capable of love. So it's the weird twisted version that you get. But that was probably one of the few laughs in the episode to me, was when she's like, Lex, don't you kill your sister. I'm serious. Don't you kill your sister. And he was like, you can't make me do it. You can't make me do what I like, what you want, Mom.
She killed me first, Mom.
She killed me. That I laughed so hard. And then when he's leaving and he's like, well, you better hope that they blow up those satellites because I never put Lena on the VIP list. And then when the satellites start working, Lena's grabbing her head. So he literally just he's like, yeah, sure, Mom. I'll do that. I'll not kill my sister. I feel like while I'm very burnt out with Lex, I will admit the Lex, Lena, and Lillian stuff is always gold. Like, you can print that. It's money. It's always really good.
Yeah. I just wish there was less of it.
I wish there was so much less of it, but it's always very entertaining.
Yes, I would agree.
John sent us an email to say, congrats for calling the Kara stuck in the Phantom Zone plot. Let's get the ball rolling with a Director Bones appearance. This is for your year feeling hopeful.
I gave that email to you just so you would do that.
Why, thank you.
So thank you for I set it up for you. You spiked
did.
it. Appreciate it. Yeah. So let's see. Where were we? Ryan sent in an email to say, quote, I did enjoy the episode, especially how it was Lena who told Alex to tell Kelly. She mentioned how she does understand the need for the secret, but also shared that not sharing the secret can also do harm. I think it was a great moment for her character. I was frustrated, though, that we never found out who was in charge of Leviathan. While I'm glad that storyline is over, is it? I wish we could have gotten some closure to that, even a sentence or two explaining who it was, unquote. Yeah, that would have been nice to at least even acknowledge that there was somebody else to defeat. Would have been
Why
nice.
set something up as a mystery for an entire season to just be like, actually, we just, we're bored of it. We're bored.
Yeah.
Look, just reveal it then. Just tell us who it was. Make it be Talia al Ghul and then kill her.
Yeah. We'd rather not do the Leviathan thing. We just want to do Lex again. We had so much fun doing Lex the last 2 seasons. So we're just going to do Lex again.
Listen, I understand. John Cryer is amazing. If you're going to use Lex in some way, find a different way to use Lex. I'm sorry. There's other ways. There's got to be other ways. Other than the exact same way you use him every season.
He did have a different musical taste in this episode.
He did.
He went from Frank Sinatra to Queen.
That was fun. That's what they blew the budget on. That's why we had that that weird CGI scene of like. Do you remember those? Was it the Taiwanese animations that they used to do, or like back in the day? It was some station in like Taiwan, I want to say, or somewhere in China, did these like news recreations. And
yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
that was
what you're talking about.
Right? That was like the quality of that CGI.
There was like a really famous one, and I can't remember what it was about.
They were always so
But I do
funny.
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, those were amazing. I think there was like one for like when the Tiger Woods thing happened, like there was like a Tiger Woods one.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
They were great. Oh man. But yeah, that's like the level of quality it was. It was like, I was like, really? Like, just cut that scene then. Okay, so we received an email from Katie who writes, hello, Supergirl Radio. I've been listening to your podcast for a few months now, and I just love it. I started watching Supergirl over this last summer because of quarantine, and once I was finished with this show and Legends of Tomorrow, I looked up podcasts and found yours, and the Legendary Ladies podcast, which I also love. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Katie. It's always wild to me when people are like, I just started watching the show and I found your podcast. Like, it's crazy to me that we can pick up listeners like 6 years in. I'm always excited when we get like a new listener. I was like, what? How? How is it possible? Welcome and hello. Katie goes on to say, I am rewatching Supergirl with my parents right now, and as we finish each episode, I listen to your podcast. We're about 4 episodes into season 4, and watching it post-January 6th, aka the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, it hits a little differently than the first time I watched it over the summer. I know it was written a few years ago, but it appears Supergirl was on the nose with some of the building resentment in extremist American culture. So it's interesting to go back and see it again. I've interacted with you ladies via your YouTube live streams, but I wanted to officially introduce myself to you and your podcast. Thanks for all the hard work you two do. It has provided me with endless entertainment while staying home during COVID-19. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, thanks for sending in and letting us know how you're watching it. That's really cool that you're watching Supergirl with your family. I can't decide if it benefits the writing of the show to write those topical storylines, which dates it. You can't. I mean, I guess 30 years into the future, somebody's going to watch it and they'll have maybe some historical context for some of this stuff, but maybe they don't. So I always kind of go back and forth on that. Is it wise to put something that could be dated in there, or is it cool to rewatch it, years on down the road, knowing the historical? I guess you would have to know that historical context, though. Yeah,
I guess like Katie mentioned, watching it kind of took on a different meaning. After all the events that have happened this year. Oh my God, it's been such a long year. It's April. But yeah, I do kind of wonder about stuff like that. Yeah, does it date it when they decide to do the ripped from the headlines that now that we're going into the COVID season? Like, is that when we look back in like 5 or 10 years, are we going to be like, oh, right, they were talking about COVID. That's the symbolism is COVID.
I think it works better with film. Like it's more interesting to me to watch a film that has a historical context behind it. That to me is interesting. But for a TV show, I want it to be more evergreen, where you can just watch it at any point and it's always applicable to like the human condition, not necessarily a particular period of time. So
I think good shows are really informed by the time period that they're made in, and they're saying something about like the current moment, but they're about the characters and they're about the story and they're about what the story is about. And then there's just that stuff is, sort of woven in. I think some of our problems with the way that Supergirl's done it traditionally in the past is that they take like that theme and they're like, okay, how do we weave this character around this theme, even if it doesn't always make sense? But
and then take the actual topical situation and put it in Supergirl, even if it doesn't belong.
Does it make sense in the universe of the show? They don't ask themselves that question almost ever. So I mean, potato.
All right. Well, that's it for all of our emails. So does everybody want to make some snap judgments? We haven't done this in a while.
Oh my gosh, it's so long.
So let's do some snap judgments. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary. All right, we have a lot of snap judgments, so these are really gonna literally be snap. We got to make them snappy. We got to make them snappy. Okay, so from Gina, too many portals or not enough portals?
Too many portals.
Too many portals. I would definitely say that. Scale back the portal usage. It's too easy. Okay, next snap judgment from Gina. Too much blue eyeshadow or not enough blue eyeshadow?
This is a good snap judgment. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to surprise everybody. Not enough. She should just like slather it on her face. Like, did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Yes.
Yes.
Like a blue man.
Bias,
like, yeah.
She can be like, hold on, Car. I need to blue myself.
If you're gonna do it, just go all the way.
Just go all the way. Go all the way into the Blue Man Group territory.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say too much blue eyeshadow. So there is that controversial hot take. Okay, the last snap judgment from Gina. The Phantom Zone portrayed as an actual place, or the Phantom Zone as being trapped in a flat square like in the Christopher Reeve films and on Smallville. So what are you like? I'm trying to see if I can pretend to be trapped in the Phantom Zone.
Oh no, it's me!
No! So which one do you prefer?
Well, that was so fun. I'm going with flat square now.
We can just always be like for the rest of the season.
I like these mime vibes. No.
I like the Phantom Zone portrayed as an actual place, even though it is fun to have the flat square. Okay, so next snap judgment from John. If we get a chance to have a final crossover with Superman and Lois, would you rather have a team up with Kara and Clark saying their goodbyes, or Hope and Captain Luthor's AI teaming up to kill everyone?
Well, I know what I should choose, but I think I know what I'm going to choose. I gotta go Hope and that other AI. Like, I didn't get the Hope content I wanted last season. I think I never will. So this is my way around that.
It's got to be the AIs teaming up to kill everyone. I know Superman and Supergirl should probably say goodbye to each other, but I'd rather see AIs try to kill everybody. I think that would be my preference. Okay, so from @ I am no guitar hero. The first one is, okay, so these are pretty lengthy, so we're going to really have to concentrate on these.
Okay.
All right. So, in the season 1 finale, Myriad is about to blow up everyone's heads. Would you rather see A, the DEO give Kara a glorified flash drive, she breaks into Fort Roz, finds Myriad, and uses it to deactivate it, or B, Kara just decides to lift Fort Roz and chuck it into space? Which one do you think is better?
Well, I love me a good flash drive. I can't lie. But I think chucking it into space would have been more cinematic.
Yeah, I think this was maybe a little bit of a dig at Kelly Olsen's flash drive contribution to the plot here. I liked Kara lifting up Fort Roz and chucking it into space. It was something only Supergirl could do, so I appreciated that. Okay, the next one from I Am No Guitar Hero. Okay, so season 2 Exodus. A spaceship is about to send Alex and all alien refugees to the other side of the galaxy. Would you rather see A, when give Kara a means to disable the engines, she catches up to the spacecraft, defeats some defenses, and disables the engine with Wynn's gadget? Or B, spacecraft is well protected, so Kara pushes back with all her might across the window from Alex to boot, determined to stop the aircraft from leaving. After a titanic struggle, the spacecraft engines give out and Kara has saved everyone. This also seems like a little bit of a dig to all the gadgets that were used in the fortress. So which one would you pick?
Well, we know that everybody loves a good gadget, but I think that moment with the hands on the window, my heart breaks just thinking about it.
I think we can still do some more mine.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to pick that one.
Yes, that's one of the best scenes in all of Supergirl TV history is the scene from Exodus when they put their hands up on the glass. So that's the one I would pick. Okay, the last one from I Am No Guitar Hero. Season 5 Crisis. Final fight with the Anti-Monitor. Kara's about to mount an all-out attack on the Anti-Monitor to save Cal. Would you rather A, have Kara be stopped mid-flight by Ray Palmer to give her a gadget that she throws at the Anti-Monitor from a distance, or B, have Kara lay down a couple good ones on the Anti-Monitor so that she destroys some of his armor and then the team is able to use whatever to finish him off? Would you pick?
I'm seeing some trends in these.
Not a big fan of the gadgets. I
don't want to say that not a big fan of the gadgets, but obviously the second one is, again, more fun to watch.
Yeah, I would like to see Supergirl punch the Anti-Monitor. I'd be into that. So interesting snap judgments. Okay, so the next two are from Ryan. Would you rather it be Alex or Lena who is sent into the Phantom Zone with the premise that Kara would need to rescue them?
Ooh. Oh, no, this is a hard one. Oh, geez. I think Lena, just because there's been so much like drama between the two of them recently, I feel like they could use their time in the Phantom Zone productively to talk some stuff out.
See, I would put Alex in there. This is the final season of Supergirl. I want all the Danvers sisters that I can get, and I think it would be cool to see Alex and Kara have to fight their way out of that. I would rather see Alex there.
Yeah, the Danvers sisters does just feel right.
Yeah. So the next one is, instead of Akrata saving Catco herself, would you have Cat Grant buy Catco Worldwide Media back to save it, or have some clause where if the owner loses control of Catco, it is transferred to Kara?
Oh man, Kara as CEO of Catco. I imagine that would be amazing because she'd be like, I don't know what this is. And then she would just walk like I would pay money to have her in a board meeting with like a bunch of like stuffy old guys going like, these projections. And then she's like, hold on, I gotta go. And then she just leaves. And like one of the guys is like, is she not gonna come back? But I think I would, that's really funny. It doesn't make any sense in the show, so I'm going to go with Cat Grant buying it back.
I've always liked the idea that Kara would be the Cat Grant by the end of the season. So I'm going to say that Catco is left to Kara to run. So that's where I would go. Okay, so our last snap judgments, Morgan. Yeah. We're christening in a new season of Supergirl with some snaps from Anna. So
Anna!
Everybody get ready. Hold on to your butts.
Anna, are these going to make me sad, Anna?
Okay, so the first one from Anna. All right, these are like paragraph long snap judgments, so just strap in.
Anna paints a picture.
When Kara was recording her death goodbyes in the crystals, what most likely happened? At one point early on, all right, so I think this is the first option. At one
it doesn't
point,
seem like this is going to be cheerful, by the way.
death goodbyes don't really indicate something good. All right, so the first option is at one point early on, she gets sidetracked and goes into detail about all her favorite friendship moments with Lena and how great she thinks Lena is. Or in the one crystal dedicated to Lena, Kara reveals that she is deeply and secretly in love with Lena and cannot die in peace without Lena knowing her truth.
I'm gonna go the second one. That's good drama. That is good drama. And then like they don't watch them because it's like her last will. But then like when they're trying to figure out how to get her out of the Phantom Zone, they're like, maybe there's something in the crystals. And then they watch it and everybody's like dead silent. Everybody feels real weird that they watch that. And Lena's like, oh no.
Yeah, that's an interesting one that could have a lot of drama for sure. I think I would pick the first one though. Because I think that's more in line with Kara believing in Lena and how good she is. So I think that's what I would go with. Okay, the second one. There's 3 of these from Anna. Okay. So here's the second one.
This one's gonna be cheerful. I know it.
cross your fingers. Okay. What is Lena more likely going to do now that Kara is gone? Okay, this is the first option. Build a new robot friend who looks just like Kara, who repeats phrases such as, I trust you with all my secrets, and you're my favorite person in the galaxy on repeat. Or here's the second option. Cry herself to sleep every night until one night when she can't take it anymore and climbs to the top of L-Corp and slowly walks to the ledge. And lets herself fall backwards down to the street below, hoping deep down it will make Supergirl finally show up again and save her. Ooh, that got dark real fast when she goes to the ledge.
That second one could maybe not end up good for her if Supergirl's not back from the Phantom Zone. Does she have Magan on speed dial? I hope. I'm gonna go with the first one and not, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to Lena, but also my love of robots is well established.
Yeah, she builds a new robot friend that looks like Kara. I'm into that.
But then she accidentally downloads the Hope AI into it. So now suddenly it's like, hello, Lena, I believe in you. Should we kill Supergirl today?
but she looks like Supergirl, so that would be a real conflict.
And then like the robot turns and looks in the mirror and goes, oh my God, what have I become? And she has like a whole existential crisis. I mean, the stories write themselves.
That's the one, the first one, obviously. Okay, so this is this is going to be a real thinker on this third one from Anna. Okay, what would make Anna happiest? So you got to look at this from Anna's point of view.
We're putting ourselves in Anna's shoes here.
Right. Okay, so here's the first one. Kara in the Phantom Zone having to relive visions of all her memories over and over again of losing Lena as she sobs and slowly loses her sanity. Or Lena finds a way to rescue Kara, but when she finally shows up, Kara has just died. And Lena, who just ate a bunch of grass, has to kiss Kara to bring her back to life. So what
the twist about the issues just happened. I just happened to have this huge bowl of grass right before I came here. What are the odds?
Okay, what would make Anna happiest?
I have to think it's the grass. It's too funny.
One. Yeah, no, it's the second one.
She just happened to have some grass right before that,
and she ate it.
Oh no! I still have this grass taste in my mouth. Tastes like a summer's day.
No, why was she eating grass though? That's my question.
Now I'm worried about Lena again. Because she shouldn't just be eating grass. It's not good for you.
Lena Luthor's like a billionaire. Shouldn't she afford some good meals? I feel like she can eat something better than grass.
That's what my mom's dog does when he wants to puke.
So there's some better food options, I think, for Lena. Okay, all right.
At least have yourself a green juice, Lena. It's okay.
Yeah. Mix it up with some fruit and some veggies. That'd be great. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap us up on Snap Judgments. So I'll play the outro. We'll get out of here. No judgments on your Snap Judgments. Okay, well, that is going to wrap up our season 6 premiere episode. It's kind of strange talking about the episodes again.
I can't believe we watched an episode of Supergirl And then
new
we're podcasting about that episode of Supergirl.
It's wild. It feels weird. It's new,
time?
New and different, but it's good to be back into it. But before we get out of here, let's get to some plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252 and make sure to write and call in before Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. You can find links to everything I just mentioned on supergirlradio.com on the right side of the page. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you are in need of some new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark, you can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcasts on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook. Or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash vessel, also known as New Rachel.
So good.
And speaking of those DC TV Podcast TeePublic store, we've got some Fortress and Martian Manhunter designs. So if you were like, love that Fortress of Solitude, love those Tron vibes, look at that shirt. That shirt was what I wanted for the Fortress. You can buy the shirt of my dreams, the Tron Fortress of Solitude shirt.
Yeah, we've got some. We got a couple of Martian Manhunter designs in there, and we've got a Fortress one in there as well. So definitely go check out the TeePublic store. There should be a link in the video description. So definitely check that out. I think we just had a sale, but keep your eye on it. We'll try to let everybody know when there's another sale coming up. And we would like to thank our super sponsors, our Legion of Super Sponsors, for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. That would be Michael, Sam, Anne-Marie, Grout, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, the Supergirl Radio Legal Consultant, Abby, Ermgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, and Deb. I think I got everybody, but if I didn't, let me know. If you would like to become a Legion of Super Sponsor like those fine people there, you can go and check us out at patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. We have 4 tiers of monthly memberships, and we appreciate you helping keep the lights on the podcast. And we have some exclusive things that we'll be putting out just for Patreon supporters. So if you want to just get some extra Supergirl Radio, if you just want some more from us, you can check us out there and support us if you would like to do so.
We got some great bonus content. You can meet my cats. You can see what I thought about Batman, the Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes. The Mask of the Phantasm. I've done a couple editing videos. I think maybe this week we'll discuss the Ozzy Tesfaye therapy question about which characters on the show need therapy the most. So maybe that is what we will talk about for this week's bonus content. So if you want to go check us out, do check us out at patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. All right. Well, you can find me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. So I take pictures occasionally there. You can check me out there. And I also have a YouTube channel, a personal YouTube channel at Duck Milk Prod. The trailer there explains what the Duck Milk Prod is about. If you're like, what the heck is that? I do some Snyder Cut stuff there. I have some Batman v Superman videos. I have travel videos. I have convention videos. I have a lot of mix of a lot of things. But if you want to go check out my personal YouTube channel, you can check me out there. I am also the voice of a character named Leanne Snyder on a podcast called The Fakest, which you can check out at thefakest.com. Morgan is also a couple of voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might hear her cackling with Amy from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast there.
Some familiar voices on The Fakest. I got to do a really fun, crazy witch voice, which I won't even attempt now. But I was like, oh boy, what is this voice? I'm not sure I'm a voice actress. I'm not sure that's one of my many gifts, but it was definitely fun to do. So you should check that out. You should definitely just subscribe to The Fakest, because I think Bill is now scheduling some of the final episodes. So I think I mean, Rebecca's definitely going to be in it. I think I'm going to pop up, bring out my witchy powers again.
Morgan is downplaying her acting abilities. She's really great. And I know this sounds terrible, but I was listening to one of the episodes yesterday on a commute, and I laughed at something I said, which I felt like was really egotistical for me to do. But there's a whole setup of Paul Defoe has a new assistant that nobody had ever talked about before. Like, he just randomly showed up. And so the premise was you as the audience had never met Carl before, but my character says something like classic Carl, like he had been there the whole time. And I heard it and I made myself laugh at it. But I think that's more about Bill's writing. Bill Meeks is a very good writer.
You're also underselling your voice acting abilities.
No.
Because I think Leanne is the heart of the show.
I appreciate you saying so. But Morgan is very good. So definitely check out The Fakest and follow us there. I also recently just helped out Andy Babak of the Flash podcast. We interviewed Darkseid himself on this very YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, youtube.com/duckmilk, not Doug Milk Prod. That's my YouTube channel. DCTV Podcast is where you can find this. We interviewed Ray Porter, who is the actor who played Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So if you are interested in that, you can check out that video on the YouTube channel that you may or may not be watching right now. It was a good interview, and I think we really uncovered some things about Darkseid. We also looked at Steppenwolf memes with him.
Did you look at the one with the little sad cat?
Oh, the kitties, the Steppen kitty, yes. The Grogu, the baby Grogu.
Yes,
meme.
The baby Grogu one.
Yeah. My favorite one, I didn't pop it in here, but there was one that compared Steppenwolf with his bare shoulders to Lena Luthor and her bears.
I've seen that. Yeah, you sent me that one. I was dying.
That's the best Steppenwolf meme. Who wore it better with the shoulders out? that was my favorite.
Steppenwolf boardroom or ballroom. And very important.
So that's good stuff. I think the only other thing I want to mention is I'm also a contributor to Justice League Universe podcast. So if you're watching that Darkseid interview and you want more DC Films content, go check out Justice League Universe podcast because we are analyzing Zack Snyder's Justice League now. So go check that out.
Very cool. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I think we are either this week or next week. I think we're recording something special for our Patreon subscribers. So if you're not a Legends of Tomorrow Patreon subscriber, you can go to patreon.com/Legends of Tomorrow podcast, and you can get right in there on the ground floor before we drop our first Patreon exclusive episode. But we also have I think we're going to throw back a little bit to season 1 during this hiatus before Legends comes back. And I think we're going to try to recap season 5 and try to remember what happened in it. What was that about, season 5? We all have questions. None of us remember. So we're going to try to do some what we call research and homework. I think it's going to maybe involve watching something, maybe Googling. Definitely a Wikipedia is going to be involved. Unfortunately, history.com has no information for us on this one. That's usually our go-to. So you should subscribe to the podcast is the long and short of it, because we're going to have some new episodes dropping in April, going up to the premiere of Legends Season 6 in May. So got some good stuff. And you can also find me as a co-host on DCTV After Dark. We had a familiar face on our last episode of DCTV After Dark. It was our very own Rebecca, who joined us to talk about all kinds of stuff. We talked about Batman, we talked about the CW shows, we talked about little Supergirl. We made her do some instant stories. So we had like all kinds of good stuff. And Sarah and I are not on what you would call a traditional schedule. So we sort of podcast as the feeling like takes hold of us. And as we remember, like, oh no, we have to do one. So the best way to find out if there's a new DCTV After Dark about to drop is to just subscribe really wherever you find podcasts. And then one day it'll just pop up and you'll go, hey, look at that. It's a new episode. And then we'll try to remember to tell other people that it's out there.
Yeah, I made up a story, if I remember correctly, that Laurel Lance had broken her leg or something on a skiing trip, and Oliver Queen just skied right past her. So you'll hear more about that if you listen to DCTV After Dark. Good stuff.
Mark points out that we tried really hard to make Rebecca swear, but she wouldn't give in.
No, they gave it their best effort. But I just don't feel the need much anymore. And it would be weird if I did it.
Honestly, your swear word was the favorite swear word I've gotten on DC After Dark. Just
everybody says the same
originality.
Thing. Yeah, everybody says this. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. Yeah. So it just wait. If I ever did it, it would sound weird coming out of my mouth. So I just don't do it. Yeah, so that's a good podcast that everybody should be listening to. Lots of good stuff. And I hope you do them more frequently, because they're great. I'm a big fan of DCTV After Dark.
We're gonna try.
And I wanted to answer one question I saw from Nicole up here. She asks, are we doing this every episode? Love the live stream format. Thank you for the feedback on that.
Thank you.
I want to do live streaming as much as Morgan will allow us to do it. So
I think we're probably going to give it a try and see if we can pull it off. It's honestly not much different than how we used to record the podcast, honestly, except that I have to be aware that like I'm talking on screen. You get to see how many times I do this with my hands.
Oh, I talk with my hands all the time.
I'm like half Italian, so I can't stop it. I've tried. So I mean, if you want that experience, I think we're going to try to do more live streams this season. Maybe every episode.
Yeah. So we'll let you guys know when things are happening. But yeah, I think we're going to do live streaming in perpetuity. Is that the good way to use that word? I don't know.
I think that seems right. Forever.
Forever and ever until YouTube and Facebook no longer exist and we cannot do it. So I think that's the plan for right now, but we'll let you guys know if anything changes. But until then, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. We're back at it. At it with the episodes. But until next week with episode 2 of season 6, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
I'm still Morgan Glennon.
And I guess we too have started our legacy download. I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No. Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!